Staff Sergeant Lucy King had ended 37 lives over her 6-year career, and none of them ever knew she was there until it was too late. That was the essence of being a Guardian sniper. You lived unseen, worked from distances measured in kilometers, and erased threats long before they could endanger the people you were guarding. Those she protected never learned her name, never saw her face, and never realized that their victories often depended on a single figure lying perfectly still in freezing mud or blistering sand, taking impossible shots while they focused on their missions. Lucy preferred that kind of invisibility. Solitude fit her nature. Isolation felt like peace, and the anonymity that came with excellence was a price she paid without hesitation. But on one bleak morning near the Valor Ridge, all that she understood about Guardian operations was about to shift. For 4 straight days, she had been shadowing a SEAL fire team across snow-drenched terrain, staying between 800 meters and 2 kilometers behind them, offering unseen overwatch while they scouted a suspected weapons trafficking route along the Kazarin frontier. The temperature clung stubbornly around -25 degrees Celsius, cold enough to kill anyone unprepared in mere hours. But Lucy, raised in Alaska and hardened by 6 years of field operations, treated cold like she did wind or range. Just another factor in the equation. Peering through her spotting scope, she watched the SEALs pause in a shallow valley to check their map and update comms. 4 professionals moved with flawless discipline. Lieutenant Dean Maddox led the element. Senior Chief Aaron Pike covered security, and Petty Officers Ryan Voss and Alex Ward guarded the flanks, solid operators who knew their craft. Then Lucy noticed something that froze her blood. Movement rippled along the eastern ridgeline, roughly 1,500 meters from the SEAL's position. She swung her scope and felt a knot tighten in her gut that had nothing to do with the temperature. A squad, no, at least 20 armed fighters, advanced with the kind of precision that screamed military training, not local insurgents. They were setting up on the high ground, overlapping fields of fire aimed straight into the valley. This wasn't coincidence. It was a planned ambush, and the SEAL team was seconds from stepping into a kill zone. Lucy keyed her encrypted radio, the one linking her both to the SEALs and the Tactical Operations Center. SEAL 1, Overwatch. Hostiles establishing ambush positions on your east ridge bearing 085. Approximately 20 fighters with heavy weapons. Recommend immediate relocation. Maddox's voice came back clipped and tense. Overwatch. Confirm hostile intent. We're in a gray zone for engagement rules. Through her optics, Lucy watched the fighters take deliberate positions. Machine guns mounting, RPG teams kneeling for angles, marksmen setting scopes on raised points. Intent couldn't be clearer. SEAL 1, they're forming an L-shaped ambush. You're the kill zone. Heavy machine guns, multiple RPG teams, 3 confirmed marksmen. This is coordinated. Move now. Before Maddox could respond, the first shot split the silence. Lucy saw Voss twist and drop, his leg buckling under him. Not fatal, but bad enough to trap them. The ambush had begun. Machine gun bursts shredded the valley from multiple points. RPGs hissed through the icy air and exploded across the rock. The SEAL team dove for whatever scant cover they could find in terrain that offered almost none. Lucy quickly sized up the tactical picture in a matter of seconds. The enemy was roughly 1,500 meters from the SEAL's position. She sat about 800 meters from them, which put her roughly 2,000 meters from the ambush line. Extreme range even in perfect conditions, and these were anything but. Wind gusted in unpredictable bursts. Cold was skewing her ballistics, and she was shooting uphill, which made the calculations uglier. Still, math was math, and Lucy had 6 years of practice turning bad variables into hits. She swung from her spotting scope to the Mk13 Mod 7, the .300 Winchester Magnum that had been with her through 73 missions. The rifle rose as if by habit. Muscle memory from thousands of repetitions guided every movement. She found the machine gunner who was pinning the SEALs and settled him into her crosshairs. A gust hit. Lucy compensated, shifting her hold by feel as much as by math. She waited for that natural respiratory pause, the tiny window where everything is still, and eased the trigger in a slow, deliberate press. The Mk13 barked. Through her scope, she watched the machine gunner snap back and vanish from his position. Threat 1 down. She worked the bolt and picked out an RPG gunner lining up a shot he thought inevitable. He never finished it. Lucy's second round caught him center mass and sent both him and his launcher tumbling down the slope. SEAL 1. Overwatch engaging hostile positions at extreme range. Primary MG and 1 RPG team neutralized, but you're still taking fire from multiple sectors. Can you displace? Maddox's voice returned tight. Negative, Overwatch. Voss is down with a leg wound. We're taking sustained fire from at least 3 positions, and we don't have clear routes out of this kill zone. His transmission cut off under another burst of gunfire. Through her optics, Lucy could see the SEALs were in deep trouble. Voss couldn't move without help. The rest of the team huddled behind scant cover, burning ammo trying to suppress an enemy with the advantage of position and numbers. Doctrine said a Guardian sniper stays put. Keep separation. Keep engaging at standoff. Call for support. The nearest quick reaction force was 45 minutes away by helicopter. Air assets were grounded by the worsening weather. The SEALs didn't have 45 minutes. Maybe 10. Maybe less. Lucy didn't hesitate. She dismantled her hide with practiced speed, shouldered the Mk13 and brought an M4 up. The shorter rifle better for closing and fighting. The plan was simple. Close distance, combine precision shooting with aggressive movement, and break the ambush from a range where her skill set and tactical mobility met. She keyed her radio once more. SEAL 1, I'm moving to you. Give me 8 minutes, and I'll be close enough to provide direct fire support. Keep your heads down and stay alive. A beat of silence. Then Maddox's voice, stunned. Overwatch, Guardian snipers don't close distance. You're supposed to maintain separation and engage from distance, Lieutenant. With respect. The rulebook became irrelevant the moment their position turned into a kill zone. Your team's about to be overrun, and I'm the only asset close enough to do anything about it. I'm moving now. Over. Watch your sectors. Lucy moved through the Velkar Ridge terrain with a controlled aggression that balanced speed against real risk of injury. 800 meters of snow, scattered rocks, frozen streams that could snap an ankle in a single misstep. Under normal conditions, it would take 20 to 30 minutes to cross safely. Lucy did it in 7. She used every fold of ground for concealment, slipping through draws and behind ridgelines, staying in dead ground where the hostile force couldn't see her approach. The temperature was brutal, -25 and dropping, but adrenaline kept her focused and warm. Her M4 carbine was ready, spare mags staged for fast reloads, grenades queued for use. At 300 meters from the nearest hostile position, she could finally make out the whole ambush. 3 primary firing positions arranged in an L around the valley, with additional fighters handling security and ammunition resupply. It was a professional setup that screamed military training. But they'd made one critical mistake. Every set of eyes faced the valley where the SEALs were pinned. No one watched the rear approaches, because who would dare attack a 20-man force from behind in the middle of winter? Lucy King was about to answer that question. She closed from the northwest, the vector they weren't checking, and her first targets were 2 fighters manning the rear security. Their job was to stop exactly what she was doing, but they were cold, tired, and careless. Both went down to suppressed fire before they realized someone was behind them. Lucy moved past their bodies and acquired the next target, a machine gun 20 meters ahead, worked by 3 fighters keeping the SEALs pinned. She closed to within 15 meters and engaged, dropping all 3 with controlled pairs, 2 center mass rounds each to confirm the hits, then transitioned to the next threat. The machine gun fell silent, and confusion rippled through the enemy lines. Fighters moved to investigate the silence, and Lucy punished that choice. Firing from behind rocks, her M4 found targets with mechanical precision. 4 more fighters down before the rest realized they were under attack from their rear. The ambush began to disintegrate into chaos, but now Lucy was exposed and taking return fire. Rounds cracked past her head and sparked off stone, forcing her to seek better cover. She moved laterally, using smoke and terrain to reposition before concentrated fire could bracket her. That's when Maddox's voice came over the radio, strained but functional. "Unknown friendly, this is SEAL 1. Identify yourself." Lucy reloaded on the move and answered, keeping her tone clipped and steady. "Identify yourself and your position. You're disrupting enemy fire, but we can't support you unless we know where you are." Lucy keyed her radio while reloading. "SEAL 1, this is Overwatch. I'm roughly 200 meters northwest of your location, engaging the hostile element from their rear. I've knocked out their primary MG and reduced their effective strength by about 1/3, but I'm taking fire from multiple sectors now." A pause. Then Maddox's voice came back somewhere between disbelief and relief. "Overwatch, you're the Guardian sniper. I thought you operated from distance." "Normally I do, Lieutenant. Today I'm improvising. Can you put suppressive fire on bearing 320 from your position? I've got enemy fighters trying to regroup that way, and I could use the help." "Copy. Stand by for support fire." The SEALs answered with surgical precision on the positions Lucy had marked, their rounds forcing the enemy to find cover and breaking their attempts to mass against her. With that pressure eased, Lucy shifted again, moving to a new position that opened clearer angles on the remaining threats. She chewed through the remaining fighters methodically, an RPG gunner trying to find a lane, 2 riflemen attempting to flank the SEAL element, another machine gunner setting up elsewhere. Each engagement was quick and ruthless. See the threat, engage with controlled fire, confirm the hit, and move before return fire could bracket her. Under pressure from 2 directions, the hostile formation began to collapse. What started as a professional ambush unraveled into frantic withdrawal or death. Some fighters tried to fall back across ground Lucy could watch and interdict with ease. She slung the MK-13 back on when distance called for it, the precision rifle reminding everyone why she'd carried it for 6 years. Fighters who assumed distance was safety found out it wasn't. After 20 minutes of sustained combat, the noise died down. Only the wind howled across Valor Ridge. The hostile force had been destroyed or driven off. Lucy ran a careful scan for lingering threats, then keyed her radio. "SEAL 1, Overwatch. Hostile force neutralized or dispersed. Your position is secure. I'm moving to you to assist with casualty care." She closed to the SEAL position cautiously, announcing each approach and waiting for verification before stepping into view. When she finally drew near and stripped back her white winter hood, all four seals stared as if trying to reconcile a dozen contradictions at once. Lucy pulled the hood free, auburn hair braided tight against her skull, gray-green eyes that missed nothing, and a thin scar over her left brow from an operation in Syria. She moved straight to where Ryan Voss sat against a rock, his leg bleeding but already crudely bandaged by his teammates. "Let me see that wound," she said, kneeling and opening her trauma kit. Her hands worked with practiced efficiency, checking the dressing, confirming the bullet passed through muscle without striking bone or a major vessel, giving pain meds, and securing a better dressing. Voss watched in pain and a kind of stunned fascination. "Ma'am, who exactly are you?" he asked. "Staff Sergeant Lucy King, Guardian Sniper Division," she answered plainly. "I've been providing overwatch for your element for the past 4 days." Maddox, who'd been scanning the horizon while Pike held security, turned toward her. "4 days? We've been running this op solo. No mention of Guardian support in our briefing." "That's how Guardian operations work, Lieutenant. You're not supposed to know we're there," Lucy replied evenly. "We shadow special operations teams from distance, neutralize threats before they form, provide early warnings, and make sure you can stay focused on your objectives without worrying about what's outside your perimeter." She finished tending Voss's leg and stood. "Usually we maintain total separation. You're not meant to even know we exist. This time was different." Pike, a 20-year SEAL veteran, spoke up. "Ma'am, I've worked with Overwatch snipers from every branch. What you pulled off wasn't Overwatch. That was direct action, close quarters, against a force twice our size." "How many did you take down yourself?" Maddox asked. 16 confirmed, maybe 3 more I couldn't verify in the chaos," Lucy said matter-of-factly. No pride, no false modesty. The situation demanded deviation from standard Guardian protocols. Ward, the youngest of the team at 26, couldn't help but speak up. "You were tracking us for 4 days, and we had no clue." "That's the job," Lucy said simply. "Guardian snipers work alone, maintain perfect concealment, and hit threats before anyone knows they exist. You've probably had Guardian Overwatch on other missions without ever realizing it." Before they could say more, the weather turned violent. The wind that had been cold now roared, shoving them sideways. The air dropped sharply in temperature, and the sky darkened in that way veterans instantly recognized. A storm was inbound. Lucy felt it before she saw it, instincts sharpened by years in hostile terrain. "We need shelter now. Major storm systems closing in. 30 minutes, maybe less. Staying in this valley is suicide." Maddox didn't question her. After what she'd done, she'd earned trust. "Recommendations?" "There's a cave system about 2 clicks north," Lucy said. "Spotted it 2 days ago while scouting. It'll give us cover from wind and cold, concealment from recon, and solid defense if needed." "Can Voss move?" "He'll hurt, but he'll move. I've stabilized him and dosed for pain. We rotate his gear, lighten his load, and he'll make it with help." They set out immediately, Lucy taking point since she knew the terrain best. Pike supported Voss, who limped forward with quiet determination, while Maddox and Ward guarded their flanks, scanning for any hostiles that might still be out there regrouping. The storm slammed them before they reached the caves, turning the landscape into a white hell in minutes. Visibility fell to under 20 meters. The temperature plunged toward -30 Celsius, and wind screamed across the ridges hard enough to make standing a fight. Lucy kept them moving anyway, navigating by GPS and hard-earned terrain memory through conditions that would have left most people hopelessly lost. They reached the cave system just as the storm hit full fury. The caverns weren't large, but they cut deep enough into the mountain to block wind and retain heat. Lucy guided them to the best chamber, roughly 15 meters deep with a narrow, easily defended entrance and good thermal properties for holding body warmth. As they set up a defensive posture and tried to warm, the SEALs started asking about her and the Guardian program. She answered what was safe within classification: the selection, the training, and the psychological prep for long solo deployments. "How long you been doing Guardian Ops?" Voss asked, pain meds making him looser. 6 years, 73 missions, Lucy said. Most go exactly as planned. I sit at distance, remove threats before the team sees them, and everyone comes home without knowing I existed. Today was exceptional. Exceptional how? Maddox demanded. The ambush had been set up with the kind of tactical competence that screamed professional training, not local militants. The hostile force had anticipated your movement and prepared accordingly. Standard Guardian overwatch from 2 kilometers wouldn't have saved you. The engagement would have ended before I could change it. So I closed and fought them directly. You done that before? Shift from overwatch to close quarters? Pike asked. Lucy was quiet a beat. Once in Syria 3 years ago, a Delta element walked into a complex ambush. Standard protocols weren't enough, so I closed to 50 meters, struck from the flank while Delta fought from position. We removed 37 hostiles between us with 0 American casualties. Pike exhaled a low whistle. That's not doctrine, he said. Yeah, it's adaptation to necessity. Guardian snipers train for extreme range precision, but we also train close quarters because sometimes distance isn't an option. Sometimes the only way to save a team is to join the fight. The storm howled outside for 6 hours, the temperature dropping to levels that would have killed anyone stuck in the open within an hour. They rotated watches, shared rations, and kept warm enough to be uncomfortable instead of dead. A small mercy compared to the alternative. As the storm finally began to break that evening, Maddox sat beside Lucy during her rest. King, I need to ask something, he said. You saved our lives today, pulled us out of an ambush we never saw, then kept us alive through a storm that would have killed us in that valley. Why do you do it? Operate alone for days, never take credit. No recognition? Lucy sat in silence for a long time, her gaze fixed on the cave entrance where the storm still raged, though its fury was finally fading. My father was a Marine officer, she said quietly. Iraq, 2004, Rifle Company, heavy combat. He was smart, tactical, cared about his Marines. But one day his patrol walked into an ambush. She paused, her voice even but edged with old pain. The sniper they never saw killed him and 3 others before they could react. The memory was still sharp after all those years. I was 16. Spent the next few years angry at the war, the insurgents, the universe for taking him. She exhaled slowly. When I joined the army and made it through sniper school, I realized what I really wanted. To stop that from happening to other families. To be the unseen guardian who removes the threat before it takes someone's dad, someone's brother, someone's kid. Maddox nodded quietly. Your father would be proud of what you do. Lucy gave a faint, tired smile. Maybe. Or maybe he'd think I'm insane for spending 6 years lying in frozen mud making shots most people call impossible. But it's not about what he'd think. It's about making sure some other 16-year-old doesn't lose a parent to an enemy they never saw coming. By 2100 hours, the storm broke completely, leaving the world outside buried under new snow but calm enough to move. The team prepped for exfil, 23 kilometers of rough ground between them and the pickup zone, hard even without a wounded man. Lucy slid seamlessly back into her Overwatch role, staying within visual and comms range this time instead of kilometers away. She alternated between leading point and covering their rear, reading the land for safer paths, catching threats before the team stumbled onto them. Twice she spotted enemy patrols sweeping for the Americans who'd wrecked their ambush earlier. One group she vectored the SEALs around entirely. The other couldn't be avoided, so Lucy quietly dropped a 3-man observation post from 600 meters with 3 fast, precise shots the SEALs never heard. Extraction came at 06:30 sharp, Blackhawks thundering low and fast into a sheltered valley. The SEALs loaded up, securing the perimeter until the rotors kicked dust and snow into a blizzard. Lucy climbed aboard last, taking her usual spot by the door where she could keep eyes on the world until they were clear of hostile ground. As the birds lifted from the frozen wilderness, relief mingled with that faint melancholy that always followed a mission. The shift from solitude to civilization never came easy. Maddox moved over once they were airborne. "King, I need to tell you something," he said. "I'm filing the after-action report, and I'm including what you did. You deserve recognition." Lucy shook her head instantly. "Lieutenant, if you put details about Guardian sniper operations and my specific actions in that report, you'll compromise me and the whole program," Lucy said flatly. "Operational security is the backbone of what we do. Document Guardian snipers doing direct action, and every hostile force will start hunting for us. That makes future missions far more dangerous and far less effective." "So what goes in the report?" Maddox asked. "That your element ran into a prepared ambush by roughly 20 personnel with heavy weapons. That you defended your position, eliminated the hostile force through superior tactics and firepower, displaced into a shelter as weather deteriorated, and were extracted on schedule with one minor casualty." Lucy's voice was steady. "All true. It's not the whole story," she added, "but it's enough truth to meet reporting requirements while preserving the security of classified programs." Her tone eased. "Lieutenant, I appreciate what you're trying to do, but there are 16 hostile fighters who won't threaten American forces again, and 4 SEALs going home to their families. That's the only recognition that matters to me." 3 days later, the debrief was held at Langston Base in Germany. Lucy sat across a conference table from the Colonel Dana Holt, who led the Special Operations Task Force that oversaw Guardian operations, and Marcus Rayner, the civilian representative for the organization running the Guardian Sniper Division. Holt opened the session. "I've reviewed classified reports from multiple sources, including Guardian documentation and Lieutenant Maddox's after-action. Note he made no explicit mention of your role, even though his team knows what happened." She followed the protocols for classified programs. "Ma'am," Rayner said, leaning forward, expression unreadable. "Let's lay out what happened in Velkar Ridge. You were performing standard Guardian overwatch at a distance. When the SEAL element walked into a prepared ambush, you elected to abandon standard separation, close to contact, and engage in direct close-quarters combat against a numerically superior force. The tactical situation required adaptation," Lucy replied. "Standard Guardian doctrine, engage at extreme range while keeping separation, wouldn't have sufficed. The team would have been overrun before long-range precision fire could change the outcome. I assessed the fight and determined closing to their flank, was the only viable option to prevent American casualties. Holt listened. You made the correct decision. That's not in question. What we need to determine is whether this is a pattern. This is the second time in your career you've shifted from traditional Guardian overwatch to direct action, Rayner observed. The first was in Syria 3 years ago. Similar circumstances. Yes, ma'am, Lucy acknowledged. Both incidents involved prepared ambushes by professionally trained enemy forces where extreme range engagement alone wouldn't protect the teams I was assigned to guard. I adapted when conditions demanded it. Rayner's tone remained neutral. We'll codify that adaptation. When conditions justify it, Guardian operators will be authorized and trained to transition from overwatch to direct action at close quarters. I've established I'll adapt tactics based on the situation and the capabilities I bring, Lucy said simply. My primary mission is protecting American forces. The methods depend on circumstances. Holt and Rayner exchanged a brief look, clearly having discussed this beforehand. Holt spoke first. We're not disciplining you. Your actions saved 4 American lives and eliminated a significant hostile force, exactly what the Guardian Sniper Division is meant to do. However, we need to address the implications of your tactical adaptations. Marcus Rayner explained, we're creating a new role within the division. Advanced Guardian operators trained and authorized to shift between long-range overwatch and direct action engagement as the situation demands. You'll be the first formally assigned to that billet, and you'll help craft the training and protocols for those who follow. We're also promoting you to Sergeant First Class, effective immediately, Colonel Dana Holt added, and assigning you to the Guardian Sniper Training Program as lead instructor for advanced operations. You'll spend the next 6 months teaching the next generation both classic long-range techniques and the tactical flexibility to adapt when doctrine doesn't fit the fight. Lucy nodded, accepting the promotion and the assignment, even though she privately preferred fieldwork to classroom duty. Her 6 years and 73 missions mattered more as hands-on experience that needed passing on to operators who would watch over warriors from the shadows. Over the following months, Lucy trained a dozen new Guardian snipers in advanced operations, precision marksmanship, and long-range engagement. Yes, but also close-quarters fighting, tactical movement, and, most importantly, the mental flexibility to recognize when to deviate from standard protocol. The program evolved with her input and reports from other Guardian operators who'd faced similar choices. New trigger points for transition from overwatch to direct action, modified equipment loadouts to support dual modes, and enhanced training to ensure operators could function across the full spectrum of Guardian missions. 3 years after the Velcar Ridge engagement, Commander Dean Maddox, now promoted and leading a larger SEAL element, ran into stiff resistance in northern Canada. As his team maneuvered under fire, his radio crackled with a familiar transmission. SEAL Actual Overwatch. I have eyes on your position and the hostile force. 22 personnel with crew-served weapons forming an L-shaped ambush. Recommend immediate displacement to bearing 270. I'll provide covering fire. Maddox keyed back with a half-smile despite the situation. Moving on your mark, and whoever you are, thanks for being there. He never learned if the voice belonged to Lucy or one of the 12 operators she'd trained. The call sign was deliberately neutral, preserving the operational security that made Guardian operations effective. As his team displaced under precision covering fire from distances they couldn't even see, Maddox knew somewhere out there a Guardian was watching. Lucy King kept working in the field for another 7 years, building a record that eventually reached 198 confirmed kills across 86 Guardian operations. She trained 37 advanced operators who went on to protect special operations teams across 6 combat zones. She sought no recognition, gave no interviews, never posed for official photos. Her service remained classified, so most people would never know the Guardian snipers existed. In secure briefing rooms across Special Operations Commands, senior officers knew about the Guardian Sniper Division and about the advanced operators capable of moving seamlessly between long-range precision and close-quarters combat, depending on what the moment demanded. They all knew the story of that day at Unsung, Valor Ridge, when a Guardian sniper named Lucy King broke protocol, charged into an ambush, and saved 4 American lives through a mix of impossible marksmanship and fearless aggression. They couldn't speak of it publicly, but they never forgot. Years later, while instructing a new class of Guardian candidates, Lucy was asked what kept her going through the isolation, the danger, and the crushing weight of carrying others' lives on her shoulders, completely alone. Her answer never changed. My father died because of a sniper he never saw, from a position he couldn't find. I've spent my entire career making sure that doesn't happen to other families. Whether I'm shooting from 2 kilometers out or fighting at 50 meters doesn't matter. What matters is that American warriors make it home alive. That had always been her mission, and it was the only one that ever mattered. The Guardian Division continued to evolve, combining its original long-range Overwatch roots with the advanced doctrines Lucy helped shape, giving operators the tactical freedom to adapt when conditions demanded it. Training got sharper, equipment got smarter, and the selection process grew even more demanding. But the core truth remained untouched. American warriors operating in hostile territory deserve unseen protection from threats they'll never notice. And Guardian snipers will always provide it, whether from impossible distance or within the fight itself. The wolf doesn't announce itself to the sheep. It simply does what wolves do when the flock is in danger. Sometimes it watches from far ridges. Sometimes it walks through the storm with a rifle in hand. Sometimes it stands shoulder to shoulder with the flock, adapting, fighting, doing whatever's needed to bring them home. Because in the end, it's not about medals, credit, or headlines. It's about knowing that somewhere out there, American warriors are alive because someone in the shadows made the impossible possible. This story was brought to you by Old Bill's Tales.